CBS News, the house that Cronkite built, the home of 60 Minutes, for decades the gold standard of American journalism. And now its parent company, Paramount, newly taken over by Skydance Media, is about to drop $200 million on Bari Weiss's Substack blog, The Free Press. The official spin? Legacy media trying to compete with the independents. But let's be real, this isn't about subscribers or revenue. It's about one thing: ideology, one in particular, Zionism. This is Israel making Paramount buy the Free Press so CBS News, their crown jewel, falls in line. Sounds crazy, I know, but I've got all the receipts, so let's get into it. First off, the Free Press. It's not a newsroom, it's not a cable network, it's a Substack. It's Bari Weiss's glorified blog, which she launched after she left the New York Times in a tiff about it being too liberal. Now, I will say she has, to her credit, successfully branded it as a, quote, independent media hub, but in reality, it's just a newsletter with a very specific mission: defending Israel.
What you're going to see is an entire region filled with something like 22 Arab and Muslim nations, and a Jewish state, the only Jewish state in the world, that is smaller than New Jersey. I think the thing that people fundamentally get wrong is that they think that this is a conflict fundamentally about borders. It is not a conflict about borders. It is a conflict about whether or not Israel has a right to exist.
Weiss is a proud Zionist. She's not shy about that. And her publication leans hard into that identity. So while Israel is starving Gaza, the Free Press worked overtime to publish famine denial, dressing it up as, quote, research and facts. It takes basically cherry-picked stats, gives them a pseudo-intellectual gloss, and then sells it to the public as the truth. That is the power of the Free Press. It doesn't look like propaganda. It looks kind of like data. It takes basically Israeli talking points and launders them through charts, think tank jargon, and contrarian independent voices, in quotations. And if we just take a look at who's bankrolling the enterprise, it's the who's who of pro-Israel VCs. You got Mark Andreessen, whose VC firm A16Z has been very public about ramping up investments in Israeli tech. There's also Howard Schultz, the Starbucks billionaire whose foundation pledged to, quote, help Israel heal and rebuild right after October 7th. And speaking of business, if we just take a look at this from a business transaction perspective, it makes absolutely no sense.
I don't care how many, Bari Weiss, whose company is, sold now, is going to sell to CBS for $3 trillion or something. Larry Ellison's son's buying the Free Press. The very important Free Press blog that is on Substack is worth $250 million. And I like Bari, but the one that gets like 7,500 views on YouTube, that powerhouse conglomerate media company is worth $250 million. By the way, so the Tim Dillon show's apparently worth $1 billion. Hello, Miriam!
Yeah, the Free Press, according to what they tell us, has about 155,000 subscribers, so maybe around $15 million a year in revenue. Certainly respectable for a blog, a Substack, but $200 million, that is 10 to 15 times revenue, an insane multiple that makes absolutely no sense, unless you're after something more than subscribers.
The point, though, in the Bari Weiss case is that it is entirely an intellectual sheen on pro-Israel and pro-Zionism. If you read about it, David Ellison and others are genuinely only want to buy the Free Press to support Israel. That's it.
Yeah, let's talk about the guy behind all of this, David Ellison. He's the Hollywood heir who runs Skydance, the company that just took over Paramount and by extension CBS News. But to understand him, you've got to look at his dad, Larry Ellison. Larry built Oracle, a company that literally started on a CIA contract, and today the company powers US intelligence, the Pentagon, and plenty of spy agencies. And Larry isn't just another Silicon Valley billionaire, he's also one of the largest private donors to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, pouring millions of dollars into Friends of the IDF. He's also close buddies with Netanyahu and hosted Trump for a fundraiser at his Hawaiian estate. And that's why this deal matters, because Paramount's crown jewel isn't Nickelodeon or MTV, it is CBS News. It is the network, like I said, of Walter Cronkite with institutional investigative tentpoles like 60 Minutes. That is the real price. They don't care about Bari Weiss's blog subscribers. What they're after is Bari Weiss's pseudo-intellectual sheen and her worldview installed inside of CBS. So that the next time CBS runs a story critical of Israel, like when they were instructed not to acknowledge Jerusalem as part of the country, or when they give platform to voices inconvenient for Israel, like Ta-Nehisi Coates. They want someone in the building, like a Bari Weiss, to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Glenn Greenwald, quote, "The so-called free press is engaged in one of the most blatant campaigns of atrocity denials in years. That's why the Ellison family, now buying Paramount CBS, wants Bari Weiss in there, in service of a foreign government they are all desperate to protect and whitewash." So let's be clear, this was never about building Paramount into a stronger company. It's not about competing with Substack. This is all about proving loyalty to Israel. That's the play. It's not a media deal. It's tribute. It's insurance. It's a guarantee that the next time CBS 60 Minutes or the Nightly News questions Israel, there is someone inside to kill that story. So I'm going to say this point blank. Don't look at this as Paramount buying the free press. Look at it as Israel buying CBS News. That is it for me this week. Let me know what you think. Is this acquisition a business decision, or is there something else going on here? Sound off in the comment section below. If you want to support my reporting, my journalism, please take a second to like this video, share it with as many people as possible so more people can get the truth about what's really going on. Subscribe yourself if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. It really helps us with the almighty algorithm gods. As always, thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one.
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery.